In this video, I'm going to go through the real reason why your Amazon PPC is burning money and how to fix it. So what is the big problem? Amazon PPC is a money pit for many sellers. Generally, we're spending thousands of dollars, and then when it comes to the organic rank side of things, it's barely moving. And yet we're kind of left in a position where we don't really know what to do. And what's even worse is half your ad budget is probably going straight down the drain. And this is just through the form of wasted ad spend, really not knowing and understanding or having a good system in order to manage these two big problems. So there's a common misconception in the Amazon space, and it's really just wasted ad spend. It's not all about wasted ad spend, or it kind of comes down to it, but it's really having that system and how to spend and what you're spending on, and whether it drives you towards to generate some sort of extra business value. So most sellers think they need to spend more time on PPC to win on Amazon. And really, that's not the key. The key is actually the opposite. You need to be looking at your organic ranks and your product and your conversion rate to really understand whether you can win on Amazon or not. So in my opinion, how people think of this, they're completely wrong, and they really have to reconsider how they're spending on their PPC to drive real ranks on Amazon and so forth. So what's the solution? So in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how to stop wasted ad spend on your ads, and then how to use PPC as a tool to strategically drive real organic growth. So when it comes down to it, this is kind of what I'm talking about. So this is an image from Scale Insights, and it's showing we have sales, we have profit, ACoS, TACoS, and margin. So when you're managing your PPC and you're looking at your ACoS, you might be thinking, oh man, the PPC here is terrible. Because in this case, ACoS is actually greater than the gross margin. However, the unfortunate part of this is you don't really have you don't have full control over your ACoS, because it really depends on the market. You're dealing with your price. You're dealing with the AOV of the market. The cost per click. So you're going against all your competitors. And then what do you convert at? All those three then tell you what your ACoS is. So you can have the best product and be the highest converting product. However, if your cost per click in your market is too high, then your ACoS is just naturally going to be higher. And if your ACoS is higher than your gross margin, then that means you're losing money on PPC. So it's really that simple. So in this case, for this brand, the focus here is not to generate any profit on the PPC side of things. Like, you can just throw that out of the window because the market doesn't support it. Unless you can meaningfully improve your conversion rate, there's really nothing you can do. So how do we shift focus? So then how do we make this market, or the product line in this market, perform where it's actually worth it? So you can see that this brand is generating, over the last 8 months here, over 7 figures, and they are generating a margin around 18%. And that's because money is being spent in the right areas where we're pushing organic rank further. And that's the goal, organic rank, and that's it. And really just trying to improve conversion rate so that we can obtain higher ranks. So I'm going to break this down and try to figure out how to stop the wasted ad spend and really use PPC as a tool to drive that organic rank. So these are generally the big problems when it comes to a PPC organic ranking system. The first thing we have is no campaign structure. So what does that really mean? It means that bad data in means bad outputs. When you have bad data and you're trying to make strategic decisions on it, you're always data, so you're always going to have you always have to clean up your campaign structure. If you don't have a campaign structure or not really thinking about it, now is the time to figure out what makes up a good campaign structure. And then number 2, 3, and 4 relate to PPC specifically. So you have to think of PPC as 3 arms. The first arm being the bidding system. So you have no real bidding system where you're driving down bids on underperforming targets and you're bidding higher on performing targets. So this is going to be your highest leverage task. So if you don't really have control over your bids in a meaningful and systematic way, then this is the time where you should be really thinking about, how do I actually set something up? Then we have targeting. So this includes graduating targets as well as doing negatives. So without these, you're actually spending money on targets where there's no additional business value. So there's only two types of business values in the Amazon space. You either generate profit per sale, or you gain some organic rank, which ultimately gives you more visibility, like no cost per click, because you're there organically, which in turn drives you more profit. However, if the target is underperforming, it just means you're spending money and you're losing money on it. So you have to have a good system in order to get them to negative those targets out. And it's just the opposite when it comes to the graduation side. If you're not spending money in the right areas, you're actually losing money. So just having a good system set up for the targeting side, very, very important. Then we have throttling. So this is the last arm of PPC. These first two here are probably the most important. And this last one here, it's important, but it's not going to be as important as the bidding and the targeting side. But when it comes to throttling, you're thinking about budget control. You're thinking about placement control. You're thinking about hours in the day, so day parting, hourly parting, and stuff like that. So it's the same concept though. You want to throttle either, in this case, the time or budget, so that you're not spending money in times or on targets that do not provide you with any extra business value. So if you can master all these three, then your PPC will look something like this, where and it becomes very predictable that your ACoS is going to be at 50%, and this is where we have it so that we can generate some margin here, because we know and fully understand where our total spend here is going. So, and last but not least is the PPC organic system. So if you're not really looking at your organic rank and you're treating it as a result or an output, as opposed to spending money in the right areas to gain that rank and then tracking it, that's going to be a big fault. That's going to be how you lose money. Because you can imagine, if you're in this situation and you're trying to run your PPC and your ACoS is greater than your gross margin, you're always going to lose money on PPC. But if you're just spending money on, say, product targets or sponsor brand video or headline, which have no impact to organic rank, you're spending money in the wrong areas, which then are not going to allow you to actually rank where you want to be, where you can get that free traffic. So if you can solve all these 5 problems, then you're going to create an ecosystem or system that is going to be profitable. And that's really the main goal here. So what these big problems, what they end up leading to is most sellers burn 30 to 50% of their ad spend. So there's a lot of misconceptions in the Amazon space. People say, hey, I think I have a 10% tacos. I think I'm doing great. I've even seen with the 10% tacos, it's too much. People are still spending way too much money on areas that are not improving their business. So there's a lot more that you can actually cut, and people just don't see it, or they just don't have the right data in front of them to be able to know how much they could actually be saving or how much they're actually spending that goes to waste. And really the big problem for all of this is it's a combination of everything. So you may have bits and pieces of a campaign structure or a bidding system and so on and so on. However, it all kind of combines together. If you have a system that works in every single one of these avenues and you can make it work, then you're going to solve that big issue or that big problem of wasted ad spend. So how do we solve these big problems? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain to you what my take on how to actually fix the campaign structure problem, the bidding problem, the throttling problem, etc. So jumping into this, no campaign structure, that's problem number 1. So how do you fix this? It's actually pretty straightforward. You don't need anything too crazy. You just have to have it set up where you have 1 SKU, 1 ASIN, and 1 match type. And the main reason behind that is because at the campaign level, there are 2 levers that you need and that is budget control and placement control. So that right there is going to help solve this throttling problem, right? Because you can only control what's within that good campaign structure. But also, if you have one SKU, one ASIN, and one match type, Amazon is forced to show data on that one SKU, one ASIN, and that one match type. So you know that the data that you're looking at, and as you are making decisions around it, you can make a better decision, right? The next key point here is separating your brand campaigns against your non-branded campaigns. And it's the same idea. So if you have branded targets within your campaigns, where you have a mix of both branded and non-branded, branded campaigns in general convert much better, which you're going to have a much better ACoS. So if you looked at the campaign as a whole, the ACoS might look amazing. However, in reality, maybe the brand targets are driving the ACoS of the total campaign down. Same goes for your entire ad account. If you're spending a ton of money on branded targets and you don't really know the impact of it, you might be left thinking that your PPC is doing amazing, but in reality, you might be bleeding, right? And then to end off the campaign structure is having a good ranking system. So the way to rank is you need to focus. You need to focus on those exact targets, and you need full control of them. So in order to have that, so when you have single keyword campaigns, it allows you to focus and control the budget and the placement for those targets. So you can feed Amazon data, and so that you can see exactly what's going on, how much you're spending on that exact keyword you're trying to rank. And so without a good campaign structure, you can't see these and make these strategic decisions. So that's why it's really important to have the campaign structure set up in this particular way. Problem number 2. So we have a bidding system. So if you're just kind of relying on AI software to do your bidding, sometimes it's not a one size fits all. So you kind of have to pick a system that works and just bid. So it's pretty straightforward. Generally, if the targets are good performing targets, you want to bid higher. If they're not good performing targets, you want to bid lower. And that's really kind of the system that I built. It's all based on confidence. So the idea is you want to perform conservative bidding when target is unknown, or they're not very, like the performance of it when you do get some data is not really great. So I call that conservative bidding. So really you're just trying to find the bottom. You have no data on this. So let's just say you have a keyword. It triggers some impressions at around 80 cents. So I'm going to start off my bid at 50 cents. And then I'm going to inch up every 5 cents every single day. And then until I reach that 80 cents marker, or the bottom of the bid. So that way I'm spending 80 cents to collect that data, versus I could have bid $1 from day one and I started to pay $1. So in that sense, I actually saved 20% just by bidding in this particular way. Yes, it's going to take a little bit longer, but that's enough extra additional spend that I'm willing to wait, because there's hundreds and thousands of different keywords, and it can really run off conservative with your bidding. So on the other side of it is, when it comes to confidence bidding is aggressive bidding. So these are targets that perform well. You get tons of orders for them. They're converting really well. So when we do this, we want to set up a bidding system or structure where we end up and we react to it. So we're going to do controlled bids to maximize visibility. So this one here is called revenue-based bidding. It's a very common bidding style in Amazon. How this is calculated is revenue per click, and you multiply that by specific target ACoS. So if you can perform something like that, then you just know that all the targets that you have, when you apply bidding to it, you're either A, going to find the bottom with your conservative bid, and then B, spend money on areas where you can win. So when this happens at scale, you know that every dollar that you're spending in terms of bidding is going to the right targets. So that's kind of how you solve the bidding issue of no targeting system. So how do we fix this? Really, when it comes to targeting, there's only two things you can do. You either graduate targets or you apply negatives. So when you graduate targets, the whole idea is you want to find more and better performing targets. So you always have your group of keywords that you've researched and identified, but there's always going to be more long tail keywords that you probably never thought of. There's always going to be brand new keywords that are created by customers every single day where they get kind of picked up, and who knows, a keyword can come up through, say, TikTok or just the way that people describe a product. Things change over time. So you constantly always want to be graduating targets so that you can take advantage of these targets, bid on them. If they're good targets, you're going to aggressively bid on them, get visibility, and then own the organic search. So if you do this right and you can do this at scale, then you're spending money on the right targets, the ones that perform. However, on the flip side, you're gonna have targets that don't perform well at all. So we want a system where we're going to be applying negatives to remove all the underperforming targets. You can achieve something similar when it comes to bidding, but negatives just make sure it's another line of defense so that you for sure can stop a target ahead of time. And then last but not least is search term isolation. The main idea behind this is, say you have a broad, a phrase, an exact. You want to find more targets, so you're going to add a search term that performed well, and you're going to graduate it into your broad and your phrase. What that's going to do is it's going to find more long tail keywords of that search term that performed well. However, you do not want to be targeting the same exact keyword in your broad and your phrase. You don't want it to trigger there. You only want to trigger into your exact match campaign where you have more predictability and you have more control. So in order to perform search term isolation in that broad and in that phrase, you want to be applying negatives to those. And that's going to allow you to create a system where you're graduating all the good targets, you're finding all your long tails, and you're using negatives so that your target or for that specific search term is only showing up in one place, which is then your exact match or your single keyword campaigns if you end up graduating it to that level. But the idea is all the data is now in that one target. And if you can get to that, if you have all the data in one place, you're going to make a better decision. So that's how you can fix the targeting system. And then problem number 4, we have no throttling. So this relates to budgeting, placements, and day parting. So the same idea. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to spend money on targets and on time where we perform the best. So if we don't have, so when it comes to throttling, if we're not playing with our budgets and really throttling underperforming campaigns or allowing a full budget on a performing campaign, that's going to allow us to spend when it comes to placements, let's just say your top of search performs really well or your rest of search performs really well, but then product page does not. So you want to be throttling your product pages so that you don't send impressions there. And you end up spending more money on the rest of search and top of search because that's where you're performing. On the flip side, let's just say you want to rank for something, and ranking is heavily tied to conversion rate. Conversion rate in each of these 3 different placements is significantly different. So generally, what a lot of people do is they set up a placement percentage on top of search because that will give them and feed Amazon with the best conversion data that they have. So, but you can't really achieve this unless you have a good throttling system. Day parting, it's the same concept. You want to be spending money at the times when you are converting. Generally speaking, people do not convert as well during the day than they do in the early AMs or the late PMs. So having a system like that will solve the throttling side of PPC. So when you take a look at 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're all specifically related to PPC. It all allows you to have full control, but also reduces wasted ad spend. What it does is it forces you to spend money into targets that are going to increase business value and not just spend money for the sake of spending money. And that's really the whole point of this. However, PPC, just like this example up here, you cannot generate a profit unless you understand organic rank and how to reach it. So you also need an organic ranking system. So that's problem number 5. So you're really just kind of asking yourself, and this is the system, can you rank organically? So how do you really know that? You know that by using Search Query Performance Report, trying to understand whether you can rank on this or not. And if you can, then send PPC visibility, because if you can do that and you can understand your keywords where you can group them into keyword groups, target the PPC for ranking, track these ranks, and then it's really just a rinse and because we know that we can rank for it. So if we can rank for it, we're going to set it up in a specific way so that we can feed Amazon with the right data so that we can gain organic rank. And when we do that, we can make profit because we're getting visibility technically for free. And then there's a flip side to it. So if we can't rank for something, the next question I generally ask myself is, can I be profitable through PPC? So if the answer is no to that, you want to do a full stop, because you're now in a position where you are spending more money to lose more money. So it just doesn't make any sense at all. So this is also what helps with the wasted ad spend, because I find a lot of people, they just don't have the data. They think they can rank for something, so they keep spending money on it, and they don't realize that they actually can't. They're not profitable. They can't organically rank, so there's no real business value there. And all you end up doing is spending a ton of money, and this is the definition of wasted ad spend. It doesn't do anything for you or for your business, right? However, the other flip side is, if you can be profitable with PPC, then you definitely want to keep spending more on PPC because you are generating profit. So every sale on PPC, as long as your ACoS is less than your target, your gross margin, you're making money, you're making profit. So you're gonna want to run that all day long. So what do all of these actually do? So when you fix these problems, it's going to get these results. We're going to have better data clarity, so which is going to allow us to have better decisions. And then all these other strategies that I kind of mentioned, from bidding, targeting, throttling, organic rank, it's going to reduce wasted ad spend. So you can just imagine on your PPC, every dollar you spend is going towards something, as opposed to nothing or losing more money. But also on the kick side of the organic system is actually going to increase organic growth. So it's a two-part thing. As we're going to improve our PPC and we're going to improve our organic growth. Improving our PPC performance, we're going to reduce our wasted ad spend. And then as we reduce our PPC and we improve our organic rank, we're going to decrease our tacos, which ultimately increases profit and profit margins, because we're putting a focus on organic orders. So we know that we can drive more profit, and we're spending less money that's going to waste. So our tacos is going to improve. ACoS may not improve. However, we know that organic orders will. And because we know that, we know our profit is going to improve. And that's exactly what happened in this case right here. We understood that ACoS, the best we can do with ACoS is going to be around 50%. So we put all of our focus into generating organic orders and organic growth. By doing that, that allowed us to position ourselves to generate more profit to run this entire system on autopilot. So this, our actual results based, this entire system is what attributed to a few of these case studies that I did. So we implemented the system here in the beginning of February. And then as it goes, take a look at organic orders. Organic orders began to improve. So why does that happen? It's because we spent less money of our PPC, just all of our time on organic orders. When we fixed organic orders, it improved sales, but it also improved profits because we started to spend money where it matters. And then we have another situation. This one was a bit more drastic, and it literally happened the week of turning it on. So we turned on the system on May 30th, so right here. And then by eliminating where we were spending money on the PPC side, we improved our PPC performance, but also started to send traffic to targets that allowed us to improve our organic orders almost immediately. And in this case, it tripled, right? So because of that, you can see, oh, and then to add to that, if you take a look at our PPC, it's not like we spent any less, right? We spent a very similar amount to PPC. However, we were able to drive up both profit and sales for this particular week. And it's really because where we started to spend the money was in the areas that allowed us to improve and get an instant boost in rank. So if you're interested in something like this, so I am the founder of Crafted. It's basically a training program where I help Amazon brands create in-house a 95% automated PPC system designed for organic growth and profit. It's exactly what you basically see here, except 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all automated. I use Scale Insights to do that. And then I have a pretty robust system on how to read the data so that you know how and when to rank on targets and what you can do to take it to the next level. So if you want to learn more, I'll share this Miro board. You can then just jump in here to watch this YouTube video. And if you're interested, click here, book a call. And yeah, that's about it. You can go through the rest of this. This will kind of tell you a little bit about what I've built within the training program. But if you like what you see here, stay tuned. Also like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.